give them a bath and put them in bed. And I started a little too late, and because we'd been out to dinner. And by the time I finally got, they wanted to have fun and play. And the more fun they were having, the less fun I was having, if that makes sense. So I was getting frustrated and irritated and impatient, and they just kept wanting to go to a ball. They told me they had to go to a ball. And they kept putting on their princess costumes. And I kept telling them to put their pajamas on. And so they were Snow White, Cinderella, Tinkerbell, and Princess Aurora. We got all of them. And so they kept, doing this thing, and I was getting really frustrated. And so by the time I finally got them in bed, it was one of those deals. It was like, Dad, read us a story. I gotta have a drink of water. And it was kind of like a, no story tonight. 2 little girls went to sleep. The end. There you go. Go to bed. And very loving and kind. And then I realized, we have to pray together. We always pray before we go to bed. But it was literally one of those nights where I said, okay, pray fast tonight. Immediate family only. Go. Because if you don't give them some parameters, prayer time, they know you're not going to interrupt that, so they'll pray for the whole planet and the whole world, because that's a way to stay up later, right? So you get the picture, and maybe a handful of you out there have actually done the same kind of thing, where you just rush through that, and get really frustrated, and okay. So by the time I finally shut the door and said, I love you, and meaning good night, and I closed the door and I ran downstairs, and I'm like, now I got to go back to work, and I got all these songs to finish, and I'm like, now I got to get spiritual and write songs about God's love. I'm not in a very good place right now for this. And then I start to think about Emily, right, my oldest daughter, who at the time is in college, and I start to feel really bad. I just start to realize I just blew it. I just had this moment with my daughters, and I just rushed through it, and I was impatient, and I was frustrated, so I'm feeling really bad, but not bad enough to go wake them up, because you don't do that. And I'll tell them tomorrow night how bad I felt. But I did what I often do when I feel like God's trying to get a message into my thick head, and I wrote a song. I'm sitting there with tears in my eyes, and I didn't even think about it. I just kind of started to write these words down. And so I wrote this song called Cinderella. And of course, a very special song to my family and to my little girls. They loved it and still love it. But so after the accident, I told my wife 2 or 3 days later, I said, if I ever do stand on stage and sing again, I don't know how I could ever sing Cinderella. Even if I could get through it myself, maybe it would be too hard even for my friends in the audience to hear it. But I was standing on stage July 11th, and this was the first time last summer that I had been on stage after Maria went to heaven. And I was just kind of getting through one song at a time, and I didn't have plans to sing the song Cinderella. But I was listening to myself kind of sing the songs I've been singing, a lot of the same ones that I've been singing tonight. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And then I sang the song Miracle of the Moment, the one I just sang. And I sang those words, and I kind of listened to myself say the words. There's only one who knows what's really out there waiting in all the moments yet to be. And all we need to know is He is out there waiting. To Him, the future is history. In other words, saying in that song, I believe God is sovereign. I believe God is in control. I believe God is who He says He is in the Bible. And so I'm saying those words, I'm singing those words, and I began to think to myself, do I really believe that? Because if I really believe that, then first of all, if God's word is true, I will see Maria again. In fact, a good friend of mine reminded me of it, and he said, Maria's a bigger part of your future than she is of your past. I will, if God's word is true, His promises are true, then I will dance with my Cinderella again. And so I'm thinking, okay, I know that, I believe that, I'm anchored to that. And then I began to realize, as Martin Luther said, there's only really 2 days that matter, right? It's this day and it's that day. It's that day when He has said, I will make all things new. I will wipe every tear from your eyes. It will all be well. And you will understand then that I really was in control. Can you trust me? Can you trust that moment that's coming? And then can you live that moment, the reality of that in this moment? And so as I'm thinking all this, and this is a little insight into the attention deficit minds of the artists that stand in front of you, because all these thoughts are going on in my mind, and then I'm singing and I'm thinking, and that's why it's not a good idea to hold up signs or have t-shirts with words on it, because it really throws me off, because I start trying to read, and I'm thinking, and I'm singing, and I'm reading, and it's not good. But anyway, sorry. So I'm thinking, okay, God, I believe this, or I better not be here. In fact, we ought to shut this thing down and go home if we don't believe it, because Paul says this, if our hope is only in this life, we are fools. We're to be pitied. Our hope is in the promises of God, the fact that He has overcome death and the grave, and and that we have his promise. So as I'm thinking about this, I realize, you know what? I got to keep singing the song, Cinderella. I got to keep showing up in this moment because I believe that moment that's coming. And so I've got to bring that and live it out in this moment, in this day, right now, with my family, with my friends, with the people around me, right here tonight. So for that reason, I will now sing this song that I got to keep singing, Cinderella. She sways to whatever song plays without a care in the world. And I'm sitting here wearing the weight of the world on my shoulders. It's been a long day and there's still work to do. She's pulling at me saying that I need you. There's a ball at the castle. I've been invited, and I need to practice my dancing. Oh please, Daddy, please. So I dance with Cinderella while she's here in my arms. 'Cause I know something the prince never knew. She came home today with the ring on her hand, just glowing and telling us